Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking a deep dive into what is pretty much the ultimate performance test for the human body. We are going to look right inside your body's engine.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. We all think we know how to measure fitness, right? You track your heart rate, maybe how far you can run, how much weight you can lift, but those are just the results. How do you actually look under the hood and measure how efficient your body's engine is while it's running?
You know, a really good way to picture this is like a series of interconnected gears. You've got your lungs pulling in air, your heart pumping blood, and your muscles using all that fuel. It all has to work in perfect sync. The second one of those gears starts to struggle, the whole system feels it. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the basics of how your body's engine works. Then we'll get into the gold standard for measuring it. That's VO2 max. We'll see why this isn't just for athletes, take a peek inside the lab itself, and finally figure out what your fitness score really means. Okay, first up, let's get down to the absolute fundamentals. We're talking about the fuel that powers every single thing you do, every move, every breath, every single heartbeat. It really all boils down to this one metric called VO2. That stands for oxygen consumption. And here's the thing you gotta remember. It's not just about how much air you breathe in. It's a direct measurement of how much oxygen your body is actually using to create energy. When you strip it all the way down, the process is kind of beautiful in its simplicity. Oxygen goes into a cell, and energy comes out. That energy is a molecule called ATP. And it's basically the energy currency for your entire body. But, getting that oxygen to the cell, well, that's a whole other story. It's this incredible journey. Your lungs grab oxygen from the air, your heart pumps that oxygen-rich blood all through your body, and it gets delivered to your muscles. Then the muscles use it up and create carbon dioxide as waste, which has to travel all the way back to your lungs to be exhaled. It's amazing. So, if VO2 is how much oxygen you're using from moment to moment, that leads to a pretty obvious question, right? How do we find out what the absolute limit of your engine is? Well, that brings us to the gold standard. And that upper limit? Well, that's what we call VO2 max. It's the absolute maximum amount of oxygen your body can take in, transport, and actually use when you're pushing it to the brink. It is, without a doubt, the single best way to measure your cardiorespiratory fitness. And I'm not just saying that. In the world of exercise science and medicine, VO2 max is the benchmark. It is the gold standard. It's the definitive test for how well your heart, your lungs, and your muscles are all working together as a team. And check out this graph, because it shows something really cool. As you start working out harder and harder, your oxygen use just keeps climbing to meet the demand. But then you hit a wall, a point where it doesn't matter how much harder you try, your body just can't use any more oxygen. That plateau right there, that absolute ceiling, that's your VO2 max. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, this sounds like something for, Olympic athletes or pro cyclists. But the truth is, this test is incredibly important in day-to-day medicine. I mean, doctors use this engine diagnostic for just about everything. They use it to figure out why someone's getting winded all the time, or to see if a patient is strong enough to handle major surgery. They use it to check how severe a lung disease is, to design rehab programs, and, in some cases, to help decide if someone needs a life-saving treatment like a heart transplant. Okay, so you get the what and the why. But how does this all actually work? How in the world do they measure every single breath you take to figure out that absolute limit? This is what it looks like. Yeah, it can seem a little intimidating, right? You're on a bike or a treadmill, you've got this mask on, you're covered in sensors, but it's actually a very safe and super controlled procedure. There's a whole medical team there watching you every single second. The whole thing is actually pretty straightforward. First, they get you all kitted out with the gear, then you start moving at a really easy pace. Every minute or so, they just ramp up the intensity a little bit. And the whole time, that mask is analyzing every single breath you take in and out until you hit your limit and just can't push any harder. So the test is over. All that incredible data gets boiled down to one key number, your VO2 max. But what does that number actually tell you about your health? So how do they make sense of it all? Well, your score isn't just a random number. It's all about context, right? They compare it against data from thousands and thousands of other people, all broken down by age and gender to see exactly where you fit in. And based on that comparison, you get a clear grade for your cardiorespiratory fitness. It's basically a report card for your body's engine, ranging all the way from poor up to superior. And this is why it all matters so much. This is not just some fitness score for bragging rights. It is an unbelievably powerful predictor of your health. Just look at this. For heart failure patients, if their VO2 max was above 14, they had a 94% chance of surviving 1 year. But if it was 14 or below, that survival rate plummeted to just 47%. That is a staggering difference, and it really shows you how critical this measurement can be.
Which really brings us to one final thought. This test gives you cold, hard, objective data on your body's true capacity. So the question is, if you knew your engine's real limit, how would that change the way you take care of it?